Welcome back to Yehoshua's Daf Yomi Shiur, where the Daf continues daily until the complete revelation of Mashiach ben David, Messiah, the son of David. And we are continuing now in Tractate Chullin, page 95b. It was the last line of 95a. It was talking about the statement of Rav that the meat was obscured from sight, that is forbidden. It's called Basar Shen Salman Min Ha'ayin. Meat that was obscured from sight is forbidden. It was not stated explicitly by Rav. Rather, it was stated that he held his opinion based on an inference from a different statement of Rav. As Rav once was sitting on the ford of the Ishtatit River, he saw a certain man who was, and now we're on 95b, top of the page. Azaraz Silta Shadas Iktrain Namarav Al Dinami Hachi Asrinu Nihale. He saw a certain man who was cleaning 95b now, cleaning the head of an animal in the river. The head fell from him. He went and brought a basket, cast the basket into the river, and pulled out two animal heads. Rav said to him, Does it commonly happen this way, that one loses one item and finds two? Just as one of the animal heads is not the one you dropped, it is possible that neither of them is the one you dropped. Therefore, Rav rendered both of them forbidden to him. Amri le Rav Kahana Ravasi le Rav de Sura Shchichi de Terelo Shchichi Amar lehu de Sura Shchichi Tfei. Rav Kahana Ravasi said to Rav, is forbidden meat common, but permitted meat not common? Most of the meat in this general occasion is kosher. So why did you forbid the two animal heads? He said to them, forbidden meat is more common. From this incident, the sages derived that according to Rav, meat that has been obscured from sight becomes forbidden due to the possibility that the meat one finds now was actually deposited by ravens who transported it from a location where the majority of the meat is forbidden. The Gemara asks him, and what does it matter if this opinion of Rav is known by inference based on this incident, rather than by an explicit statement made by Rav? The Gemara answers, there is room to say that this incident cannot serve as a precedent for a general policy, because that location was a port for Gentiles, where most of the meat was non-kosher. No, meaning no, you should know that this is the case. As Rav said to Rav Kahana and Rav Asi, forbidden meat is more common. Consequently, it is possible that Rav would not have forbidden the meat in a location where the majority of the meat is kosher. But how did Rav ever eat meat if he holds that meat becomes forbidden if it is unsupervised for even a short time? The Gemara answers, Rav ate meat only in its time, meaning shortly after it was slaughtered, when he had not been obscured from his sight. When it had not been obscured from his sight, from the time of the slaughter until he ate it. Alternatively, if you wish, say that Rav ate meat that was tied and sealed in a way that proved that it had not been swapped for non-kosher meat. Or alternatively, he ate meat that could be recognized by a distinguishing mark, like that practice of Rav Bar Rav Huna, who would cut meat into pieces with three corners, triangles, before he would send it to his family members. Rav Bar Rav Huna would cut meat into triangles. Lie. Rav Havi Kazal Rav Chanan Chasnei Chaz mi bradik asilape amar mi brak asilape Yama tava legoy. The Gemara relates that Rav was going to the home of Rav Hanan, his son-in-law. Okay, he saw that the ferry was coming toward him. Just when he arrived at the riverbank, he said, "The ferry is coming toward me, even though I did not arrange for it to come now. This is a sign that a good day, meaning a festive meal, awaits me in the place where I am going. Azal kamabava odek bibizon dashi dashi chazach evas tzalio taraf abava nafuka sokoli alma liape ase tavachenami lo alim raveni mine amalahu ikohashta sefitu lehu isura livne bratz lo acharav mehu bisra." After crossing the river on the ferry, Rav went and stood at the gate of Rav Hanan's home. He looked through a crack in the door, and he saw an animal that was hanging and ready to be cooked. He knocked on the gate, and everyone went out to greet him, and the butchers also came out to greet him. Rav did not remove his eyes from the meat that the butchers were preparing. He said to them, "If you had eaten the meat based upon the supervision you provided now, you would have fed forbidden meat to the sons of my daughter, because no one apart from me was watching the meat when you all came to greet me." And despite the fact that he had kept the meat in his sight, Rav did not eat from that meat. Why? He was watching it the whole time. My timer. That's exactly what the Gemara asks. What the Gemara asks, what's the reason Rav did not eat the meat? If one suggests that he was concerned because it had been obscured from sight, that cannot be the reason, because Rav kept watching it so that it was not obscured from sight. Rather, Rav did not eat because he divined. He saw the arrival of the ferry as a good omen. This is prohibited, and therefore Rav penalized himself and abstained from the meat. Okay. ויאמר רב כל נחש שאינו כאליעזר עבד אברהם כנעשם בן שאול אינו נחש אלא סוס רשוס הוואי ורב לא המהניה המסהנה מסוס רשוס. The Gemara asks, but doesn't Rav say that any divination that is not like the divination of Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, when he went to seek a bride for Isaac, see Genesis 24:14, or like the divination of Jonathan, the son of Shaul, who sought an omen as to whether he and his arms bearer would defeat the Philistines? See, 1 Samuel 14:8-12 is not divination. Since Rav did not rely on the omen in his decision-making, he did not violate the prohibition against divination, and there was no reason for him to penalize himself. The answer is rather the reason Rav did not eat the meat is that it was an optional feast rather than a feast associated with the mitzvah, and Rav would not derive pleasure from an optional feast. Okay, I hear you. I got you. Rav bedek mivavro, u'shmuel bedek misavro, Rabbi Yochanan bedek Bianoka. Having mentioned Rav's reaction to the ferry and the incident cited above, the Gemara states that Rav would check whether to travel based upon the ferry. If it came quickly, he would take the ferry, but otherwise he would not. And Shmuel would check what would happen to him by opening a scroll and reading whatever it was open to. And Rabbi Yochanan would check what was in store for him by asking a child to recite the verse he was learning. Kulehu shenel derav dehavi kosov le Rabbi Yochanan lekadam ben shebebavel ki nachdav she havi kosov Shmuel lekadam chavereinu shebebavel Amar lo yadali midei Rabbi Hanan כתב שדר לעיבורה דשיטין שני אמר השתחוש בנה בעלמה ידה. The Gemara relates an incident when Rabbi Yochanan checked his luck based on the child's verse. During all the years when Rav lived in Babylonia, Rabbi Yochanan, who lived in Eretz Yisrael, would write to him and begin with the greeting, to our master who is in Babylonia. When Rav died, Rabbi Yochanan would write to Shmuel and begin with the greeting, to our colleague who is in Babylonia. Shmuel said, does Rabbi Yochanan not know any matter in which I am his master? Shmuel wrote and said to Rabbi Yochanan the calculation of the leap years for the next 60 years. Shmuel wrote and sent to Rabbi Yochanan the calculation of leap years for the next 60 years. Rabbi Yochanan was not impressed by this and said, now he has merely demonstrated that he knows mathematics, which does not make him my master. Kasav shudar le'tele sargam lisveged revoso Amar ish le'rab b'bovel ezal achazaye Amar le'lianoka pesok li pesukayich Amar le'shmuel u'shmuel met Amar shmamina nach nafshe l'shmuel. Shmuel then wrote and sent Rabbi Yochanan explications of uncertainties pertaining to Treifot that had to be transported on 13 camels. Rabbi Yochanan was impressed by this and said, I have a master in Babylonia. I will go and see him. Before departing on his journey, Rabbi Yochanan said to a child, recite to me your verse that you studied today. The child recited the following verse of Yochanan. Now Samuel was dead. 1 Samuel 28, verse 3. Rabbi Yochanan said to himself, learn from this that Shmuel has died. Therefore, Rabbi Yochanan did not go to see Shmuel. Velohi lo shechiv Shmuel ki hechid lo tarach Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara comments, but it was not so. He was wrong. He did a false divination. Shmuel had not died. Rather, the reason Rabbi Yochanan was given this sign was so that Rabbi Yochanan would not trouble himself to embark upon this long and arduous journey from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia. So he wasn't meant to go. So he heard that Shmuel died, so it was known that he would conclude that. So that's why he wasn't meant to go. When the truth is that Shmuel didn't die. At least not yet. Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar beis tinok v'ishav al pi she'nachash yishim. It is taught in Bright Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says with regard to one who is successful with his first business transaction after he has built a home, after the birth of a child, or after he marries a woman, even though he may not use this as a means of divination to decide upon future courses of action, it is an auspicious sign that he will continue to be successful. Conversely, if his first transaction is not successful, he may take that it is an inauspicious sign. Amar Rabbi Elazar vehu dit chazak tlata zimne dichtiv Yosef eneno v'Shimon eneno et Binyamin tikachu. Rabbi Elazar said, but this is provided that the sign has been established by repeating itself 3 times. This is based on the verse as it is written, and Jacob their father said to them, me you have bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, Shimon is not, and you will take Benjamin away. Upon me all these things come. Genesis 42:36. If calamity were to befall Benjamin, that would establish a pattern of 3 tragedies. Ba mine rabamnun merav becharuzin mahu amar le al ti shoite becharuzin reiz simoni kadyamri amar Rav Huna merav becharuzin reiz simon. The Gemara returns to discuss distinguishing marks that prevent meat from being prohibited despite its having been obscured from sight. Rav Huna inquired of Rav if pieces of meat were strung together and then were obscured from sight, what is the halacha? Rav said to him, do not be an imbecile. Of course, if the meat is strung together, it is considered to be a distinguishing mark, and the meat is permitted. There are those who say this halacha as follows. Rav Huna said that Rav said, if pieces of meat are strung together, it is a distinguishing mark, and the meat remains permitted, even if it is obscured from sight. Reb Nachman ben Ardo ikla legabe Rav Kahana lepumna hara b'ma'alei yoma de Kippurei Ato arve shaduke ba kabde v'chiliasa. The Gemara relates that Rav Nachman of Nardal arrived at the home of Rav Kahana in Pum Nahara on the eve of Yom Kippur, which is the day when people commonly eat meat. Ravens came and dropped livers and kidneys. Rav Kahana said to Rav Nachman, "Take these livers and kidneys and eat them, as they are not forbidden, even though they were obscured from sight." This is because, at this time, permitted meat is more common than forbidden meat, since Jews slaughter many animals on this day. Rav Chia bar Ravin is itavad lekal kisha beidina. Asal kamein Ravuna Malahu Amalei Isle Sibna Begave Amalei La Ilach Tviut Eina Begave Amalei In Imkain Zil Shikol. Rav Chia bar Avin lost a cut of meat from the animal intestine among the barrels of wine in his wine cellar. When he found it, he came before Rav Huna to ask whether the meat was now prohibited, because it has been obscured from sight. Rav Huna said to him, "Do you have a distinguishing mark on it, so that you can identify it?" Rav Chia bar Avin said to him, "No." Rav Huna asked him, "Do you have visual recognition of it?" Rav Chia bar Avin said to him, "Yes." Rav Huna said, "If so, go and take it and eat it." Rav Chanina Chalzai Tabale Gabe Divisras Asar Kame Rav Nachman Amalei Islesim Megave Islesim Megave Amalei La Islach Tavius Eina Megave Amalach In Yimkain Zil Shikol. Rav Chanina Choza'a lost a side of meat. When he found it, he came before Rav Nachman and asked him whether the meat was now prohibited because it had been obscured from sight. Rav Nachman said to him, "Do you have a distinguishing mark on it that you can identify it?" Rav Chanina Choza'a said to him, "No." Rav Nachman said to him, "Do you have a visual recognition of it?" Rav Chanina Choza'a said to him, "Yes." Rav Nachman said, "If so, go and take it and eat it." Rav Natan bar Abaye Itavale Kibure Tachelta Adar Kamed Rav Chia Amalei Itlach Siman Megave Amalach La Itla Tvius Eina Begave Amar In Imkain Zilshko. Rav Natan bar Abaye lost the skin of scabu wool prepared for use in ritual fringes and tzitzit. He searched for it and found it. He came before Rav Chizda to ask whether wool was now prohibited because it had been obscured from sight and may have become confused with other blue wool that is not valid for ritual fringes. Rav Chizda said to him, "Do you have a distinguishing mark in it so that you can identify it?" Natan bar Abaye said no. Rav Chizda asked him, "Do you have visual recognition of it?" Rav Natan bar Abaye said to him, "Yes." Rav Chizda said to him, "If so, go and take it, and you may use it for tzitzit, ritual fringes." Rava said, "At first I would say that a distinguishing mark is preferable to visual recognition, because we return a lost item to its owner based on a distinguishing mark." Okay, we'll stop here.